Listen, UMass Sports Weekly fans, I got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is it's starting to heat up on campus. It was 80 degrees today, humidity was high, and that's just not good for anybody. On the bright side, though, that heat is starting to kick into our UMass sports team because we had a great week of sports this week. Remember, this is UMass Sports Weekly, and it's your number one source for all things UMass sports. I am your host, Tommy Clutie, and boy, do we got a good show for you today. First, we got a rookie, Jared Yellin. He's going to come in for the very first time, talk about the UMass football team getting their first W of the season. After that, I believe we have dual reporter Phil Sanzo coming in. He's in a big hurry today, along with Alex Francisco, and they're going to talk about the men's soccer team, who got on the board with the W as well. After that, Allie is going to come in and talk about the streaking women's field hockey team, winning 2 games in a row this weekend, and player Izzy Delario getting named A10 Player of the Week. Those girls are on fire. After that, I call him more reliable. Liam Byrne is going to come in, finish up the show, talking about a women's soccer team who put up some good numbers this weekend, but they cooled us down a little bit. Either way, it's hot, it's awesome, we're going to have a great show. Victor Cruz is queued up, and this is UMass Sports Weekly.
This is UMass Sports Weekly.
And welcome back into the show. This weekend, first game at McGurk Stadium, the UMass football team took on FIU, Florida International University. We had a 21-13 win, a new quarterback in Andrew Ford, and a great game overall. Our own Jared Yellin was there with the coverage.
And here they are, your UMass Minutemen, as they go on to face the FIU Golden Panthers. This is a big game for the team, first home game at McGurk. The team starts off a little slow, however, as Andrew Ford throws a pick to Deontay Wilson on the first drive. However, the defense comes up with a big stop here on third down with a sack. After this huge tackle, which gets called for a 15-yard penalty, FIU gets stopped in UMass's end and is forced to kick a field goal. However, UMass begins to deliver a drive of their own, making passes left and right, get their way down the field, and finish with a 26-yard pass to put them up 7-3. Midway through the second quarter, FIU starts driving down the field and connect with this nice 27-yard pass down the sideline. However, it was UMass defense that steps up once again with a big fumble, recovered by Steve Casale. UMass will then cap off an 87-yard drive for another score and put them up 14-3. In the second half, FIU begins storming back with a quick touchdown up the middle by Alex Gardner, followed by a field goal to put them down 1 with just under 5 to play in the third. But it is Andrew Ford who marches UMass down the field and finishes off the drive with a touchdown to put UMass football up 21-13. Late in the fourth, FIU's final drive gets stopped once again by a fumble to solidify UMass's 21-13 victory.
So there you see it, UMass football team getting their first W of the season and beating FIU 21-13. Now, I told you this is going to be a show of first times. I'm here with first-timer Jared Yellin. Jared, glad you're on set. Now,
Glad to be here.
very important, we were promised a new QB after Blake Frohnapple. First, you had Ross Comas, came in for 2 games, threw, I believe, a touchdown in each game, but we got creamed. So you have Andrew Ford, new quarterback, new scheme, new game. How'd you think Andrew Ford fared this week?
You know, I think he played pretty well. He started off first drive, little shaky, did throw 1 pick, but I thought he was able to bounce back, made some nice throws on third down, extended drives. I think he ended with 278 yards and 3 scores, so I'd say a real solid game for him.
Now, the defense was also very big in this game, only giving up 13 points to a very run-heavy team, which is FIU. Defense had 3 sacks, and they forced 3 fumbles. So good defense all around. What do you think specifically was the key on defense for this team?
Yeah, I think what you said, they were a good running team. So I thought a good strategy of theirs was just limit them to the run. They did a good job stopping the pass, limit third downs, long plays, and just really keep the game short, stop the run, get off the field, and get the offense back on there.
Now, Jared, going into next week, you're playing a phenomenal Mississippi State team. Phenomenal. They're 1-2 in the SEC. They lost to LSU by 3 points. LSU, a phenomenal football program. And they've been a team that's played well defensively, but they've struggled to find their offense, which teams have done against UMass. What do you think they need to improve on this week in order to put up a good fight against Mississippi State?
Kind of with what they did in this performance against FIU, I'd say just stop the run, limit big plays, because these guys are going to try and run the ball on you. They're going to try and throw everything they can at you. I'd say keep them one-dimensional, maybe get some turnovers, and just get them off the field, control the clock.
Now, important thing to note for this week's game, besides the fact that it's at Gillette, not McGurk, because that's perfect for everybody to go watch it. We don't know who the starting quarterback is going forward. Mark Whipple has not named a starter, although some would support Andrew Ford going in again. Ross Comas, who is coming off an injury, is still in the debate for quarterback. So remember, keep your eyes on UMass Sports Weekly. Our social media guy, Liam Burton, will get you all the updates you need on that. Jared, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't touch that dial, though, because when we come right back, we're going to talk some men's soccer. Phil and Alex are coming in, and it's just going to be a wild segment. Stay tuned. And I hope you enjoyed your commercial break, because we all just love commercials. Now, I told you, the theme of the show is going to be first times, and it's going to be hot things that are on fire. This men's soccer team, they won for the first time, and to us, that means they're on fire. They beat Brown this weekend 2-0. Big win for the Minutemen. I'm in here now with Phil Sanzo, a dual reporter, Alex Francisco. Guys, thank you for coming in. So first, I'm going to talk to Phil. Phil, what happened in this Brown game? What should we know?
Well, the Minutemen, like always, jumped out on top early, scored 2-0 in the first half of the game. First time the season, UMass scored 2 goals, so it was definitely an improved offense than we've seen recently. But the biggest thing about this game is that they held off Brown. Brown's a team that was 3-1 coming into the game, a quality team, and UMass was able to hold them off. Really, they showed their improvement from the beginning of the season by they're a very young team, as I mentioned. They're growing, and they showed that growth against Brown, playing for a whole 90 minutes, not faltering on set pieces, defending well. Becerra had 6 saves. Becerra had 6 saves, and Brown had 5 corner kicks, and they defended them all. So they really played well for a full 90 minutes, and it definitely showed.
So I want to talk to you both now. Who do you think is the most important player on this team so far? I mean, I think Becerra is the obvious answer, but would you guys disagree with that? Is there somebody else we need to watch?
You can go first.
I think you're 100% right. He's clearly the playmaker on this team, and without him, this team would look completely different than it does.
I'll go switch a little. I'll go give it Ty Goncalves. He is a midfielder, but plays a lot of the offensive side of the ball. He's a senior. He's one of the 2 seniors on our team with Becerra. While Becerra can only do so much while he's in goal, Goncalves is all over the field, and he's really managing a little bit on defense and on offense. He has 1 goal this season, and he's one of those guys that he's been around the block a few times for these young guys. He's really giving a good example of how to play collegiate soccer.
He's been around the block a few times, helping out the first-timers. The first-timers, just to stick with our theme.
Goncalves, you can really tell he's a huge leader on that team, and he really sets the tempo for their play during their games.
So you could say he's almost, priceless to the team because of the leadership, not only what he provides on the field, but off the field. Mm-hmm. All right, so now, Alex, I'm going to turn to you. We're playing a Vermont team next. Out of conference, Vermont, I believe you said 7-1.
Yep.
Very talented soccer team. Give us a preview of this game. What should we expect?
Like you said, it's an out-of-conference game tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Virtue Field in UVM. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. Like you said, they're 7-1 in a pretty competitive American East Conference. They're coming off 2 wins last week as well, so they really have clicked in a lot of places. They have the most goals in their conference so far this season, and that's thankful mostly in part to Bernard Yaboa. He leads America East with 8 goals this season, and Brian Wright. He leads America East in assists with 9, and he's 3rd in conference with 5 goals. So these 2 players, it's going to be very imperative for the UMass defense to try to contain them as best they can.
So you're saying we shouldn't get contained by the U-Boa constrictor?
No.
We gotta stay away from that.
Avoid suffocation at all costs.
Perfect.
Correct. So, soccer's a game of momentum. UMass finally has some. But unfortunately, UVM's been on a roll all season. So it'll be a tough one. I will be surprised if they pull out the W, but if they do, that will really lift up this program for the rest of the season.
Especially right before A-10 start.
Especially right before A-10.
Absolutely.
Now, really quickly, I just want both of you keys to the game. What should people look for if this team wants to have any chance at beating this great UVM team?
You got to contain. I think a good style of play for them would just to be sit back, focus on defense, and then hopefully try to find some opportunities on fast breaks on offense.
Yeah, it's definitely they gotta work on their set pieces. That's been something that's been big all this year. Is when Vermont's gonna get a corner kick or a free kick, they gotta be able to defend against that. If they can defend against that, we've seen the offense has the ability to get a goal when they need to get the goal. So I think they can definitely, if they can hold them off with the set pieces and everything and play sound soccer for 90 minutes, they have a shot.
There you have it. A tall task against the Vermont Catamounts, but they're from Vermont, so it can't be that intimidating, right?
Keep Vermont weird.
Yeah, keep Vermont weird, everybody. Thank you guys very much. Remember, like Alex said, Virtue Stadium, obviously the game will not be here, but keep us up, Liam Byrne, again, social media, UMass Sports Weekly. We'll make sure to get you scores and updates on that game. Thank you very much, guys. When we come back, Allie Furlow's coming in. We're going to talk some women's field hockey. Stay tuned. And welcome back into the show. This weekend, the women's field hockey team went off against St. Louis and Harvard, winning against St. Louis 12-0 and Harvard 3-1. One player I'd like to highlight and congratulate, Izzy Delario, had an 8-point weekend and was named A10 Conference Player of the Week. Now on the heels of that, we turn to Allie Furlow, our field hockey analyst. Allie, huge game against St. Louis, especially because they're an in-conference team. Mm-hmm. What did you see in this game that you really liked?
So I'm gonna break it down for you now, Tommy. We'll take a look at this first graphic here, breaking down the first half. For UMass, they had 6 goals right off the bat. Izzy Delario, within 27 seconds, gets the first goal of the game. The UMass Minutewomen also had 16 shots on goal and 7 penalty corners. For St. Louis, it looks pretty sparse over there. 0 goals, 0 shots on the goal, and they only had 1 penalty corner. Now we can take a look at the second half. UMass put up 6 more goals after that and 13 shots on goal. They also had 2 penalty corners, and still St. Louis with 0 shots on goal and obviously 0 goals. And they had 1 more penalty corner after that.
6 plus 6 does equal 12, which is the amount of goals they scored, which is a lot. Very big amount. So, Allie, we just talked about Izzy Delario. You mentioned Nicole Miller, who had a couple of goals. Melanie Kirsch had a couple against Harvard. But There's a different standout player that we've talked about for 2 weeks now. Who is that?
Yeah, so Emily Hazard was the standout player, in my opinion, for both Harvard and the St. Louis game. If you want to pull up this graphic right here, Emily Hazard, just so everyone knows, she's a redshirt junior. She already has a 4-3 record on the season. This is her second shutout against St. Louis. Her first was against UMass Lowell on September 4th, and she already has a .684 save percentage. So that's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Good numbers. Remember, we talked about she has big shoes to refill, and Sam Carlino's, but she's done the job respectably so far.
Absolutely.
So, Allie, looking ahead, Minutewomen face Stanford. Cross-country opponent. Stanford's coming in here, which is a big advantage. What do you see happening in this game?
So I see this to be a pretty decent matchup between the Minutewomen and Stanford. They are already 2-4 overall and 1-1 in conference. They're in the American East Conference. They also lost to Connecticut 2-1 when they played them earlier this season. So I really think that this is going to be a good matchup for the Minutewomen. It's a home game, so definitely come out and cheer on the Minutewomen if you can.
Remember, Stanford, Friday, Gladchuck Memorial Sporting Complex, right behind the football field. Thanks a lot, Allie. When we come back, Liam Byrne's going to come in. We're going to talk about the women's soccer team, the only team who didn't win a game this week, but that's fine because we still got some great coverage for you. Don't touch that dial. And there's the audience. Like I said before the break, only team not to win this week was the women's soccer team. They did tie 0-0 in double overtime, a really great game, but then they lost to Providence 3-0. Here with Liam Byrne, we're going to pick up the pieces, break down that weekend. So, Liam, first thing I want to talk about the Brown game. Double overtime.
Yep.
You got to have chances to win. What opportunities did this team miss?
Well, like you said, it was a double overtime game, and the Minutewomen had 4 corner kick opportunities to at least try and get something into the goal. in this one, and obviously none of them went in. One, for example, Alyssa Frerick-Angeli in the 41st minute had a corner kick where Daniela Alvarez headed towards the back post, and the Brown defense easily cleared it away. And this was one of many examples here. And in the final seconds of regulation, Alvarez again was able to make her way through the middle of the Brown defense, right through to the near the 18-yard box, and took a shot and was saved by the Brown goalkeeper, Christine Etzel. And then in the second overtime of this game, neither team could get one to the back of the net, unfortunately. UMass had an early corner kick chance, but once again, they were unable to connect. But, we like to be positive here on UMass Sports Weekly, right, Tommy? Yeah. So here are a little bit of the positives. In goal for UMass, Cassidy Babin. Yeah, 3 saves against Brown, and her 3rd shutout of this young season in 7 games. And she is really the highlight of this UMass defense, and really the whole team, I think, because she really puts the team on their back. And if she keeps playing the way she is playing, this UMass team is going to be very good throughout the A-10 play.
So I may have misheard you. I heard 3 saves.
Yes.
In this game.
In this game, yes.
She had to make 5 against Providence. Now, was it enough?
No, it was not.
It was not.
No,
They lost 3-0 to Providence.
Yes.
So, Liam, tell us, what was the difference between these 2 games?
Well, obviously, UMass didn't score. Again, they didn't score the whole weekend, but put up a big goose egg. But the shot difference.
2 big goose eggs.
2 big goose eggs, yes.
Well, if it was a golden goose egg, now we're talking some positives, but
yeah,
I digress.
Exactly. So a key difference in this game were the shots. The shots were big. Providence put up 20 shots opposed to UMass's 9. So right there, you miss a lot of opportunities like they missed in the Brown game, right?
Yeah.
You've divvied out. But once again, like we talked about, Cassidy Babin, 5 saves, totaling to 8 this weekend. But once again, a negative here. The fouls were a big thing for UMass. Last week we talked about the fouls against CMU, where they were just extraordinarily out of what they should be. And so UMass committed 9 fouls, where Providence committed 5.
We did mention last week the physicality.
Yes.
We thought it was maybe something Coach Ed Matz focuses on, but apparently this is just beyond what is necessary.
Yeah, I mean, he does focus on it for sure. You definitely, if you go to one of their games, you will see how aggressive these girls are, and I'll get to that in the next question here.
All right, so final question. We have 9 days until A-10 play starts.
Long time.
As we know,
time.
the season lives and dies in A-10 play.
Yes.
What are we going to work on?
Well, Ed Matz and the girls, they definitely have to work on cashing in missed goal opportunities. Also, keeping up that hard defense that we were talking about. It's definitely a key thing for this Minutewomen team to work on. And the defense needs to keep backing up Cassidy Babin. If she's going to play as well as she's playing in this goal, the defense needs to keep it up. And Ed Matz just needs to keep pumping these girls up. They're 2-4-1 right now, which isn't entirely bad, coming into A-10 play against LaSalle on the 29th. So they just need to, Ed Matz needs to keep the positivity up and, keep it go out throughout the whole A-10 schedule for this Minutewomen this Minutewomen team.
As always, thank you, Liam. As everybody knows, or as we've liked to display to everybody, A-10 play is bread and butter of this team's season, so hopefully they can turn things around. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to turn things around because that's the end of the show. I'm your host, Tommy Kaludi. Remember to follow UMass Sports Weekly on Twitter, on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. Periscope is great. I always talk about it. Is there something else? Vine.
Same thing we mentioned last week.
Vine is another thing that we have to get into. I'm getting too old. I got to get into that.
Thank you,
everybody for tuning in. We'll be here next week, same time, same place. Have a great week, UMass.